Hi, welcome everybody to Santa Cruz Works Clinic Think Care Act. It is September 2 and my name is Doug Erickson, and with me I have just Adrian today. I don't think Matthew's here. Hey Adrian, say hi.
Hello, good to be here today.
Great. We are supported by an uncommonly talented, good-looking, spiritually enlightened, and brilliant team of people. Names and faces are not enough to give them credit they deserve, but for now, my praise and admiration will have to suffice. And give a shout out to our sponsors. We couldn't do this without the many, many sponsors that are supporting and lifting up our community during these trying times.
All right. Well, this is a Think Care Act workshop here. I'm live, and Chris is going to tell his story via video, and he'll be on the phone later. We're just so thankful that you're here. Next slide. And I also just want, as I'm getting ready to transition here, I just really want to thank Santa Cruz Works. Doug Erickson, Toby, just the whole team there are so amazing. They're people who stand in the gap and really are there to help young and old people be successful at doing good. And it's just been such a privilege to work with them. Head, Heart, and Hands is a nonprofit organization. We started 13 years ago. We were all in the high-tech industry, and we saw this big wave of technology, this big wave of personal devices getting ready to hit our homes and hit our personal lives. And we felt that there was an opportunity there to help people integrate that technology in a way that actually improved their lives. And so we started a Tech for Good initiative, and that soon turned into something more because we found that people really needed to understand their value so that they made better decisions in areas of technology as well as other areas of their life. And so our mission is to provide tools that inspire and empower people to help drive positive change. Something that's really unique about our tools is that they are universal, that they are timeless, they're repeatable, and they're adaptable. Our team has worked both professionally and personally around the world, and we didn't want to create tools that would cost hundreds or thousands or even $20. We wanted our tools to be able to be used with a stick in the sand, that if somebody had nothing, they could still learn skills and learn tools that would help them to understand their value and make better decisions wherever they are. There are almost 8 billion people in this world, and we just really believe that the change has to happen individually as well as organizationally. And so that's why we do what we do. Next slide, please. So right now, as Doug mentioned, we're living in a time demanding change. As we work together to help drive positive change, hope will rise. So right now you're looking at the front page of our website. We've got some initiatives going. The title of those are called Think Care Act. And they're comprised of tools, campaigns that enable diverse organizations to work together. So again, we're adaptable. We've been worked in businesses, in children's homes, with sports teams, with schools. And so by providing a language that's common, we hope to be able to enable these organizations to work together. Next slide. So here's our tools. We have 5 lessons that help people walk through a self-reflective process where they get to know who they are, and so that they know their story better. And by the end of it, they're able to make better decisions. Next slide. And we also have some initiatives, and we'll be talking more about those initiatives at the end of this presentation and showing how you as a Z-Hacker can participate. So now I'm just gonna move into our presentation. And so as I do that, I wanna say that we're all writing a story. We're linking the events of our day into a story. And the story we tell ourselves really matters. Scientists at the University of Washington in St. Louis discovered that the same part of our brain that we use to recall the past are the same regions we use to look forward into the future. Dr. Brene Brown discovered people who don't believe that they are worthy of love and belonging, they always wonder, am I enough? So they try and numb their emotions or hide from their imperfections. She also found that when people believe that I am worthy of love and belonging, they have the courage to be imperfect, build authentic relationships, and be compassionate to themselves and to others. That means our personal narrative doesn't just say what happened. How we perceive the past events of our story affects how we see ourselves in the present, as well as our dreams about what we can and want to become in the future. See, in 5, 10 years from now, we're all gonna, be telling stories about what happened through COVID, what happened through this period of history. So whatever we're going through right now, they're gonna become the stories that we tell. And I just encourage you to really be confident that you can be better for it. Part of my story last week, we were an evacuee. Our house was in the critical zone of the fire and we had to leave. Well, 2 days before that, my son lived up in Boulder Creek, and his house, his work, they were all burned down. And he and some other people had moved into our home for that night that they were evacuated, the night their house burned down. And they started to gather our belongings, anticipating that we might have to leave, our special things. When we got home, I had the opportunity to, I could have gone to stay with friends, but instead of doing that, I chose to go to an evacuation center. We happened to have a RV, and so we could stay there, and they were setting up something at our local church. And so we showed up there, and we ended up choosing to live at that evacuation center. And that was something that I wanted to do because I knew that my community needed me, and I knew that I could be better for it. And so as you think about your past, as you think about your present, as you think about your future, know that they're all fit together, and the stories that we tell tomorrow are going to be formed by the decisions that we're making today. One of the things we did at the evacuation center is that we had these meetups. And so some of the very things that we're going through today, I walked through my fellow evacuees with the same tools. We were a really diverse group, both our faith, our social economic backgrounds, but we all had a story to tell. And that's a big part of what we want to empower you to do here. So the truth is, you are a Zentrepreneur. We are living in demanding times. This ZHACS event, we are going to get to tackle issues around social justice, the environment, and the pandemic. We are about empowering you to know that you can make a difference, that you can be better for it, that no matter what you've gone through in the past is equipping you for today. So the question is, are you prepared to drive positive change? Are you thinking at this moment, man, I've got this, I have what it takes, my team has what it takes? Or are you fighting the voices in your head going, really? Do I really have what it takes? I don't know. I don't think I'm enough. I'm never going to measure up. In this workshop, we're going to explore how our outward attitudes and actions reflect our inward beliefs and attitudes, but that being human, you have the incredible ability to think, to learn, evaluate, to care, to hope and aim, and to act, to create and improve. And right now we're going to show just a short video about this. All right. So, see, we have the power no matter where we are, no matter what we're experiencing. Our circumstances are constantly creating opportunities and equipping us to help ourselves and others. And so Z Hacks is an opportunity for you to step into that. And Doug, can you go ahead and play the video, the Z Hacks video? The idea here is that wherever you are, you have what it takes. And so where this starts is as humans, we can choose to think, right? We're always thinking, but we can be intentional about how we think. And we could think, I can make a difference. In a world of diverse human stories, our choices have impact. In the human narrative, we make choices that create problems, but we also make choices that have the power to create solutions to those problems, both big and small. So we're going to be taking a look at a couple of the lessons. You're going to be doing an activity today. One of those is just looking at our best and worst. The next one, we're going to be looking at what makes us special. You know, and what makes us special changes. I mean, if you think about your life pre-COVID, once sheltering in took place, once this outcry for social justice really took hold, and then even in the last few days, how our life is changing. And so we're going to look at what makes you special and unique for that. And so to go ahead and do that, Chris Thomas is going to share his story. He's going to do it via video because he had to be away from his computer. He's here joining us by phone. So Chris's story is going to happen next. And he's going to address his best, worst, and what uniquely positions him.
Thank you, Susie. I'm Chris Thomas. I've been a part of the Head, Heart, and Hands activities for about 10 years. And with everything that's going on in the world, it's really important to make sure that we are the best people we can be to be positive change agents. Before I get into the Head, Heart, and Hands Think, Care, Act initiative, I want to talk about the fires that have been going on around Santa Cruz. And my son, who's 19 years old, as we were being asked to evacuate, organized some friends who got together and started cutting down trees and brush, which led to neighbors experiencing their effort and deciding to help. And they brought in tools and saws, and 5 or 6 of them even helped us clear. My daughter got involved, and then the city councilman who lives nearby started helping and realized we had so much cut down that we needed something to take it away, and called in a dump truck. Now, why this is important, other than our house didn't burn, and I appreciate my son for that effort, is that his outward behavior reflects the caring about his home and his community on the inside. And it shows just how incredibly capable human beings are of driving positive change, and how others can follow a leader at no matter what age. But the Head, Heart, and Hands Think, Care, Act program is all about learning how to be our best. And so lesson 1 has an exercise called Best Worst. And in Best Worst, what we do is we analyze ourselves. So, for instance, I am a bad listener at my worst. I can be argumentative, defensive, basically judgmental. Those are the big ones for me. But then why do I get this way? Well, for me, being tired and hungry are huge, or being disrespected. When I was younger, it was focusing on gaining approval of others. And then, pressure can push it. But, the big one for me right now is lack of exercise. So understanding what makes us, tick is crucial. And the other side of the equation is what makes us our best, and, getting enough rest, getting good nutrition, being in nature, working around positive people, all these things help me a lot. And with COVID right now, getting a hug would be awesome. And of course, exercise. So as we look at what makes us our best, then all of a sudden you start seeing our behaviors improve. And I would like to believe that I am all of these when I'm at my best. Now, people will probably argue with that. I guarantee you that they won't believe I'm punctual. But for the most part, I'm at my best. I have a significant number of these when I'm at my best. The second lesson is really about we are really uniquely positioned based on our life experience. And I look at my career and the things that have led me to have an amazing career, starting up in small company, small business, and then 26 years as an Intel executive, and then on to starting my own company. How did I do that, or where did I get the skills? Well, it turns out those building blocks come from all over, and understanding what made us unique is really a value that is what this second category is all about. And my father was a theater designer and stage manager, and so theater is a crucial part of my upbringing. My friends, I have great friends, and they are a foundation for a healthy environment. Being a father has, established a whole new set of behaviors, thinking, thoughts, planning. College, incredible. Most of you, or many of you, are attending college now. And what I learned in college, beyond the classes, was social education. I lived in a fraternity, 26 guys in one house, different, perspectives, religions, races, opinions. And we had to learn how to get along. And I think that was one of the best learning experiences in my life. I also love to be outdoors and have, climbed and camped and ran and hiked and rafted and canoed. Getting out in nature is crucial. But I also saw my career as an adventure and putting myself in positions where I could be a global citizen and a change agent inside the computer industry. And in the end, I had the opportunity to engage in emerging markets and bring technology to places that hadn't been using it before, and see the perspective of people from completely different eyes, and what is valuable, what's important, what's, of substance when you're in places that are not like your own. So that led me to having a set of building blocks, but I realized in doing the exercise, I have 4 specific secret ingredients that didn't come out in the exercise. One is making the improbable possible, and the other is saying yes to opportunity. third is hard work, and fourth is a merited trust. And I will only focus on yes to opportunity right now, but the doors that open don't always stay open, and you never know what they lead you to unless you take them. I chose not to put pictures on my failures and challenges because I don't want to remember them visually. My divorce is probably the most educational experience of my life, but not very happy. Few failed businesses. I happened to black Neil Young out on a spotlight in Seattle Center at one time. I have some health issues. I'm struggling with weight gain after being an extreme athlete. And I've learned that trust unmerited can really hurt, whether it's business or personal. So what did my building blocks uniquely position me for? Well, turns out that in 2008 in the Great Lakes region of Africa, the cassava plant, which is a staple crop, was being wiped out. And the Gates Foundation had funded scientists that had found a scientific answer, but they didn't have the logistics of training the farmers, delivering the plants, identifying where to deliver them, etc. And so in 1 year, if you look at this green area, that coverage grew, and 2 is growing more. By the 3rd year, projected it would cover all of Rwanda and Burundi and parts of Tanzania, Uganda, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Kenya. Part of this equation, I had been working on rural architectures, rural education specifically with a company called Agilix, and building a platform that worked online and offline. We were designing asynchronous forms applications. This led to Catholic Relief Services, who were getting the funds from Gates to build training modules on these platforms. We then worked with the hackers over at CRS to create a map, because actually showing the progress helped the people that you see here in the picture use the tools, and they could watch their progress and the progress of others. And we did all of this on a ruggedized PC that we had designed for children's education. The result was amazing. We had over 1.5 million farmer families trained, 40 million people's food source was secured, and the farmers themselves avoided an economic crisis. But it wasn't just me. I just had the unique opportunity to add my value, which is designing some of the logistical infrastructure for the farmers and their families. But there were trainers and trackers and training content and NGO oversight and technology partners and a group of very, very talented coders, as well as some off-the-shelf technology that we put together for this solution. And that leads us to Think, Care, Act and the ZHAC Hackathon. We are in a situation now where we need positive change agents in the world, and Think, Care, Act is a way to help us, be positive change agents, and all of us capable of leading, as you saw my son do earlier. I look forward to the ZHAC's activities and what you do for the different categories and what your secret ingredients and building blocks are, because you are uniquely positioned to handle or, try to solve some of the challenges we're having today. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Chris, for just being vulnerable there and just being willing to talk about both his best and his worst and how that has showed up in his life and actually positioned him to be able to drive positive change. Because part of our ability to do that is to be able to look at our whole self, not just our best self, but who we are when we're not at our best. And so thank you, Chris, for that vulnerability there. So now we're going to take a little poll. And we're just going to ask you some questions about who you are at your best. And so at your best, are you better at encouraging others or helping others? Go ahead and answer that. All right. And Doug, what were the answers there? More, 75% of you are better at encouraging others. That's great. Thank you so much. Let's go to the next question. At your best, are you better at leading or supporting? All right. And Doug, what were the answers? Leading. So we've got some encouraging leaders here. Great. Again, 75-25. Excellent. So what brings out your best? Let's go to the next question. And I believe the next question is going to be being alone or being with people. And Doug, what's our answers? Being with people. Excellent. So we've got this nice 75-25% split here. All right, next question. What brings out your best? Encouraging words when other people encourage you with their words, or getting a hug? Encouraging words. Excellent. All right, at your worst, are you more likely to give up or to get angry? Give up like, this is just too hard, I'm gonna walk away from that, or just get angry, get in somebody's face. We got a lot of, there's that 75-25 split again. Okay, at your worst, are you more likely to be arrogant, proud, overly confident, or to doubt yourself? Again, what's that voice that's in your head? Maybe that arrogant, I'm better than other people, or that doubting that yourself that says, I'm not as good as somebody else. At your worst. 50-50. All right, great. Next question, at your worst, what brings out your worst? Is it peer pressure, pressure from outside? That peer pressure could come from your business or organization, your friends, or is it the internal voice that's inside of you, that internal pressure that says, that's going to bring out that worst in you? The internal pressure. Yeah, that's me, definitely. Especially as we get older, I think. Okay, what brings out your worst? Being disrespected or not getting your way? When somebody else just doesn't treat you how you think you should be treated. Not getting your way is you're going for something, you want it, you're pursuing something, and it doesn't happen, and you face this disappointment. What brings out your worst? Being disrespected or being disappointed? Being disrespected. Wow. Well, in today's age, right? That's a big one. All right, great. So right here, right now, we're gonna give you a chance to look a little closer at your best and worst. If you go to the best worst, if you go to the Head, Heart, and Hands website, you would see these activities. And then Doug, you could just click through this really fast, at my best. I'd like you to pick out about 5 of those words. Now, if you go to the best, to the Head, Heart, and Hands website, you could actually download the activity itself, but just look at that. Maybe if you have a pencil nearby, jot down a couple of the things that you are at your best. Now, Chris, in his video, he said he was the whole left category, but again, if you had to pick 5 or 10 of those, what would you say that you are? What would best describe you? Okay, situations that bring out your best. Again, they might be all of these, but right now we live in a time where we're realizing we don't always get to control our circumstances. So what things would you prioritize? Time alone or being around positive people? Think about that. Challenging opportunities is listed there. I would say Z-Hacks is a challenging opportunity. It's an opportunity to explore your edges. At your worst, what rises to the top? What's the first thing that happens? Do you get quiet or do you get argumentative? Do you get lazy or do you become a workaholic? At your worst, do you get demanding? Jot down a couple of things. All right, last question. So what are some situations that bring out your worst? What situation, I know for sure everybody in this group is going to put being disrespected. 100% of us said that being disrespected could really being criticized, not getting your way. Why is this important? Because we're all uniquely positioned to make a positive impact. Each and every one of us are. Our circumstances explain what's around us, affect what other people think of us, create new opportunities, equip us to make a positive impact, but they do not define us. We are more than just the sum of our highs and lows. When we make a mistake, it doesn't make us make a mistake. When we fail at achieving a goal, it doesn't make us a failure. When we are rejected, it does not make us less worthy. When we succeed, some of you are going to participate in this Z-Hackathon and you're going to win. But that doesn't make you more worthy than the person who doesn't. Our talents and resources don't give us more or less human dignity. So while our circumstances do not define us, they do position us to be a positive contributor. Toby, in his first presentation for Z-Hacks, he talked about believing in something greater than yourself, believing in infinite possibilities, and having the faith that you will succeed no matter what. Chris was very vulnerable, and he talked about his successes and his failures. He talked about what made him special. The more we believe that the things that happen in our life position us, the more willing we will be to step out. But as humans, to make a positive difference, we've got to care. What we care about will determine our direction. I love what Chadwick Boseman said. When you have reached the hilltop and you've decided on your next jobs, next steps, careers, further education, you would rather find purpose than a job or a career. Purpose crosses the disciplines. Purpose is the essential element of you. It is a reason you are on this planet at this particular time in history. Your very existence is wrapped up in the things you are here to fulfill. Whatever you choose for your career path, remember that struggles along the way are only meant to shape you for your purpose. And that purpose is to make a positive difference. Again, Toby, in his first Z-Hack presentation, he said, strive to make this world a better place. Live in gratitude. What made Chris step up and step out and try and solve that famine problem is because he cared. He wanted to make the world a better place. But as humans, we have to act. To make a positive difference, we have to get involved. We can't just think about it. We can't just want it. We have to act. You are wired for struggle. To evolve, you have to get involved, putting those good intentions into actions and developing habits that are on par with your goals. In other words, growth is not an accident, it's a choice. At our best, our desire to help drive positive change is motivating us. You pay attention, just like you would to learn a soccer skill or a math skill. You have to get involved, solving problems, practicing, reflecting on your mistakes, and then making improvements to seek help and try again. Toby talked about it, and I love this top one. Be willing to explore your edges. Build open networks, be transparent, be kind. And that's what Z-Hacks is about, is allowing you to build those networks, to get involved. Chris had to get involved. It's about going from our worst self to our best self. And that's what it takes. It takes us making the effort to get involved, moving from our worst self to our best self. So Z-Hacks is for everyone. Z-Hacks is for you. You can code, you can carve, you could dance, you could write, you could sing. In closing, I'm going to use one of Toby's principles. Continually strive for personal growth and know that the real prize is the journey. Some of you will win and some of you won't. The prize is not in getting first, second, or third place. The prize is about joining in and choosing to make a positive difference. It's about saying, hey, sometimes I can be my worst, but I can be my best. It's about choosing to recognize when you're at your worst and choosing that personal growth opportunity to become your best. So we have 5 project ideas. I'm just going to go through these really quickly. First, you can convert this exercise into an app. Second, you can join in on one of our campaigns. Next slide. One of those is that you could bring Think, Care, Act to your organization, to your school, to your family. Another thing you could do, next slide, project idea 3, is that we have a position for change campaign. You could get people to tell their stories in that campaign. You could also create original and attributable content, artwork, logos, etc. for the initiative. You can also create digital versions of our lessons. We have some sample ones on there. You could use your own narrators, photos, videos, and you can get involved in our category. We'd love to have you. And with that, let's take some questions.
Great, thank you, Susie. I see one question from Professor Z. We're living in challenging times, COVID, politics, fires, everything in between. What are your thoughts on the one that we can start doing today to ease anxiety and bring out our best?
So I think the first thing, well, sorry, my mantra, right, is just to give yourself a little space to do just that, to think, to care and act, to think, to remind yourself that you matter. You know, yes, it matters what other people tell you, but it matters what you tell yourself as well. And so know that your life can make a difference. Evaluate your choices, stop and look at the situation and say, what am I doing to contribute to the solution or to the problem right here? And what can I do differently? And then to adjust what you care about right now. Am I caring about more about avoiding failure, or am I caring about, you know, striving to make a positive difference in this world? And then last, act. You know, maybe the next best thing you need to do is say, I'm sorry. Maybe the next thing you need to do is listen to somebody that you were talking over. But there's always something that you could do in that next step, that next right step that you can take to be a part of the solution.
That's great. Professor Z wanted to mention that your headband really rocks, and Professor Z, she or he, him, her, they, our country and president leaderships are extremely divided right now. What can we do better to unite versus divide?
Oh, great. And I could answer that question, but Chris, do you want to take that one?
I'll take that one, but I actually want to answer the first one a little too, which is a lot of people are caring and acting, meaning they're getting angry with the violence or the politics and taking action, but it's not necessarily a thinking action that says, what do we do to be better? We end up with rioting, we end up with looting, we end up with people mad at each other. So it's really stepping back to figure out how we are part of the solution before we take on a peaceful protest or an action that makes that think, care, then act. We're not really thinking at this point, we're feeling and acting a lot. And then the politics, I actually think Susie and I are opposite sides of some of the political discussions already. I think it's being open to other people's ideas. But even more than that, it's creating a voice, getting more people voting for that voice. I think there's an opportunity in this cycle, regardless of Republican, Democrat, to create a new constitutional amendment to demand more equality and you know, hold our government leaders accountable. There's some movement there. So I really think it's time in this moment, regardless of who you're picking, that the message to our leaders is what we want. I don't hear that in the political debates. They're talking about what they want and what they think we want. But you know, this is an amazingly emotional opportunity to tell our leaders the changes we want, because they're actually being compelled to listen.
Part of the solution is to ask more questions. Right here in my own house, we have diverse political perspectives, and I have a son that's 22 and a son that's 24, and I just ask them a lot of questions, especially my 22-year-old. I just say, please help me understand what I don't know, because what I don't know, I don't know. And then I just think that if we all did that, I don't know that there's one answer to all the problems that we're facing are extremely big and very complex. But if we just ask more questions and really try to understand I think that if we brought different perspectives to the table and we said, what can we agree on? I think that we would be able to move forward a little bit better. And, you know, I just think of what reuse, reduce, recycle. You know, when I was young, there was Greenpeace and there were a small handful of people, but when there were collective words, first thing that came out was green, and then it moved to sustainability. And now, you know, we've got different words that describe that, but it really enabled individuals and organizations to really work together to make our environment a better place. And so I think that some of it is just even starting with what can we agree upon. In our opinion, we think Care Act is a great simple way that we can say, okay, let's move forward. This is a good way forward by thinking, caring, and acting. But, you know, again, that's a very simple answer to a very big problem. But starting with what we agree on.
Great. Thank you, Susie. Got a couple more here. Dagmar asks, sounds like both of you have lived through some very tough days and are showing resilience and positive change attitude you teach. With so many people in need of help right now, it can be overwhelming to figure out where to start. What are your suggestions to find that starting point and how to stay focused as you can to have a maximum impact?
Chris, you want to go first or me? I love that question. I love all the questions.
And go first, and then I'll chime in.
Okay. Gosh, that is something I ask myself every single day, because my heart bleeds for not just the people in our nation that are suffering from disparities, but the people around the world. If we think that there are disparities here, gosh, I mean, there are just some people that have just been really going through hard times. And so I think for me, I start every morning with what can I do today? Who is it that I could stand in the gap for? So as you notice, one of our initiatives is calling Bridging the Gap. So for example, I chose to go to that evacuation center. I didn't have to go to that evacuation center, but I knew that I had something to offer. And so that's why I chose to live for a little over a week with a group of very diverse people to build a home, to build a community. And that's what we did. People found hope in our evacuation center. Some people didn't want to leave. They had the opportunity to go to nice conference centers and resorts, and they wanted to stay at our evacuation center. And so it's saying, what do I have to offer, and who today can I stand in the gap for? And then I think we also live in an age of technology. And so thinking strategically and saying, if I'm strategic about what I'm creating, could it reach more people via technology? Do I really need to talk about this device or that story? What if I chose to be more universal with the story? What if I chose to be a little bit more universal with my artwork? Could I actually reach out and beyond my normal community and reach more into the world by just choosing to be intentional with how we do things?
I think I've had the benefit of both having an international impact, but I think the ones that are most heartwarming to me are local, just the ability to help your kids, your friends. They're in need too. Sometimes we think, and even my story was way far away, but the reality is, I see every day the kids from my daughter's softball team now re-interacting with her, checking in. If you actually see, I watch the behavior of my children. We live at, my son's 19, my daughter's 15. And social media for them is absolutely key to connecting. But I find myself finding out more about what's going on in the community from them than from the internet. And so, it doesn't take a whole lot to check in with somebody. We have an aqua aerobics group of about 30 mostly old ladies, and we started a Zoom call every Wednesday. I missed it because of this call, but you know, all of a sudden you've got 30 people that normally get together in the pool that can't get to a pool, and they're talking, and when the fires hit, literally they all figured out who was in need, where they were staying, if somebody could check on houses, and their own private community that showed up from exercising at a pool was created. And I think realistically, in today's environment, you know, applying it to ourselves first versus demanding that we go out into a broader community is probably the actions we need right now.
And
My comment is go. Sorry, I jumped
No,
in
no,
on
go.
here.
Go ahead.
Go out and look at the Think Care Act category, but look at all of them. And you know, we have an opportunity, and my kids were listening to this as I was in the car, and I'm talking to them about how they contribute. My son's more of a coder, my daughter's more of a singer, dancer, you know, actress. But I'm talking to both of them about getting involved in the way they can, and they're a little bit confused, especially my daughter, in how to contribute. So go read some of the opportunities that Head, Heart, and Hands has broken down, and then maybe apply them over to the other categories and realize that there's an amazing amount of opportunity here. Probably the one I told my son about was some of our friends watched their houses burn down through their online cameras. And what I found out about that in the hackathon concept is, wow, people can actually use these environments now in a crisis in a very different way. Is my house safe? Isn't it? What's going on? You know, can you check? Somebody sent a video of people walking by our house, or do you know these people? And so there's some amazing new opportunities just from the fires, from COVID, from Black Lives Matter, where we can take our own tools and use them in incredibly creative ways.
In closing, I just think of the story. One of the gals that I've worked with, she grew up part of the time in an evacuation, a displacement center or a refugee camp in Kenya. And she had the opportunity to come to North America, get educated. She went back, and she has at times been on the border working with other refugees. She's worked in her hometown. She had a nonprofit. She was, you know, doing a lot. And she came to the U.S. and we did this event through another organization at Google. And she was able to share her story, and we were there at Google, and we were talking to one of the vice presidents, and I said, hey, do you want to do an experiment? And he said, sure. And we went over to one of their conference rooms, and I did the whole best worst thing on the board, and put it, you know, hey, your boss wants to know who are you, you know, here's who he is at his best worst. And he goes, wow, you know, this is really great. And my friend talked about doing this, that same best worst activity at a refugee camp, and how it brought such hope to the people that she was working with, and how there were tears in their eyes as they were hearing about their value, and that even at their worst that they could make a difference, and how they could be at their best. And I said, you know, we would like to, you know, be able to reach 100,000 people tomorrow. And I said, with Google, we could do that. And so I think that in closing, what I would like to say is that you can make a difference wherever you're at. Your story matters. You can share things. You could be, you know, but you can also think, hey, someday if I'm in a position to really be able to reach a lot of people, like, explore that edge. Think about that edge. Think about how your voice does make a difference one-on-one, but think about what that could look like if our world collectively spoke a language that allowed people to know that they were imperfect, to know that they were wired for struggle, but to know that they are worthy of value and belonging. Those are the words of Brené Brown. I'll leave you with that.